Boxing Day. Boxing Day. Comes out on Boxing Day.
This is Musical Talk.
Musical Talk.
The UK's independent musical theatre podcast.
Musical Talk, the UK independent musical theatre podcast.
Hello, happy Christmas. I hope you had a lovely Christmas. Hello, Tonia.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm alright.
Good. It's Boxing Day today. To those Americans, that's another day off we have after Christmas. We're going to be discussing 2018 and all the stuff it has. Obviously, we won't be able to say much about these shows because we ain't seen them yet. and a lot of stuff opening on Broadway, sort of stuff opening in London, but we don't, they tend to not reveal as much.
Last year we had a bit more, there were a lot more things opening. There doesn't seem to be that many things coming to London. It seems to be much more of a continuation on.
Unlike Broadway, where they announce things and gets all about awards and the season and stuff, we're less structured.
Yeah,
here.
We have the Olivia Awards, but I think everything kind of revolves around the Tony Awards in the way that doesn't really revolve around the Olivia Awards here.
Thank God.
Yeah, I mean, we don't tend to have a lot of hype around things, obviously. There's Hamilton, and Hamilton opened at the tail end of 2017 and will continue throughout 2018, and it'll be interesting to see whether the Hamilton hype continues through the year, and whether it runs for very long or continues to run beyond its initial booking period. Film-wise, I mean, last year we were quite excited about two major films, one being La La Land and the other being Beauty and the Beast, and there's a lot of hype going around those two films in particular, especially La La Land because it opened already in 2016 in Christmas. It already opened when we were discussing this last year. Whereas the only kind of musical film I've really got any information on that's coming out in 2018 is Mary Poppins Returns, which comes out right at the end of 2018. I think it comes out in America on Christmas Day. I might be wrong about that. That's really it, film-wise. I mean, there isn't really an awful lot going on.
Linked to Hamilton, of course, because Lin-Manuel the man we can't pronounce, he is
Lin-Manuel Miranda is in it.
Appearing in it. Musical and lyrics by Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman, which is well fun.
It's got the lovely Emily Blunt in it.
Emily Blunt.
It's a sequel, isn't it? It's how many years later? Well, the children are grown up.
Right, so it's about their children, obviously.
Yeah, and Mary Poppins comes back into their lives, and obviously she's not aged because she is married to Mary Poppins.
Practically perfect.
Exactly, she doesn't age.
She has one wrinkle, and you can't see where.
I don't really know an awful lot about this, but do we really need a sequel to Mary Poppins? Do you think it's just perfect and lovely the way it is?
You could say, do we need a stage musical of Mary Poppins? Because it was very different to the film musical.
Was very different, but the reason why we needed a stage musical of Mary Poppins very different to the film is they did something different with it in the sense that Cameron Mackintosh took the books, because the problem with the film, we all know this if you know your musical history, is that P.L. Travers did not like the film, and it was not true to her books, and Disney kind of took many liberties with it and went in a really different direction to the books.
Are you telling me P.L. Travers didn't write about tea parties on the ceiling and dancing penguins?
Whereas obviously Cameron Mackintosh tried to be a bit more true to the original books, and whether this film will go down a slightly darker, it's trying to be a bit more true. It involves some material from her other books and tries to be a bit more.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope they use material from her other books. Maybe Miss Andrew will appear. It should be very, very exciting to see what happens, but we don't know.
There will obviously be Crazy Ex-Girlfriend continuing on the television into 2018. We have yet to see whether it's going to be renewed for a fourth season or not, but if it does, that will come out in the autumn or the fall of
autumn, thank you.
Autumn of 2018. So we have to just wait and see whether that gets renewed. At this stage, we have no idea whether that's going to get renewed or not.
Now, a musical you're very excited about, which you didn't get to see last Christmas, or Christmas
Strictly
before
Ballroom.
last, Strictly Ballroom, which is replacing Annie at the Piccadilly Theatre. Annie will probably tour because that's what shows do.
Yeah.
This is coming from the West Yorkshire Playhouse. Stop dancing, Tom. That's all I know. I presume we shall go and see it.
Well, it's obviously based on the film Strictly Ballroom, which is a 90s film by Baz Luhrmann. It's comedy based around ballroom dancing competition, and obviously we love our ballroom dancing in this country. We always have done. We love Strictly Come Dancing.
You love Strictly Come Dancing.
Many people in this country love Strictly Come Dancing. So I think it's going to appeal to that audience. I guess the only thing about this is it's kind of a mix of original songs and non-original songs. So some of the films, songs that are in the film, like Perhaps, is in the film, and there's a couple of other songs from the film, but there's some original material as far as I'm aware, but I don't know anything else about it. I'm looking forward to that. I think it will be a big, one of the bigger shows of this year. We'll just have to wait and see.
Might fall flat on its face like a bad dancer.
It might do. I think the only reason I'm saying that is because I know there have been issues with the other productions. If there's a Musical Talk mini on the production when it came out originally in Australia a few years ago, and I don't think there was much hype around the West Yorkshire Playhouse version of it. We'll just have to wait and see. I think there have been more tweaks done for it for the West End, but we'll just have to wait and see exactly what they've done with it and what will happen.
Well, the London Coliseum, Chess
that's going to be the biggest
opening.
thing.
We've been talking to Tim Rice, who'll happily do an interview with us about Chess. I know our friend Andrew Keating is very excited about it, as it's one of his favourite musicals. It's not a piece I know about, so hopefully we'll go and see it. And once again, massive orchestra, might be semi-staged, might be fully staged, we don't know. I'm sure it'll have a couple of famous people in it. Probably.
And the song I Know Him So Well.
Yes.
Literally the only thing I know about
Josh
it.
Groban might go in it, we don't know. That's going to be a nice
It's a big
spring
venue.
treat, I think.
It's a big venue. It's got a lot of potential to be something quite big. I think the last time we saw it was at the Albert Hall, which is a bit disappointing with sound, with regards to the sound, and it's a concert.
You saw it, but you couldn't hear it.
Yeah. So it's got potential to be something quite spectacular, thinking just down to the venue,
Yes.
and the people that are going to be behind it. What else is there?
Well, as does The King and I, which is opening at the Palladium
Yes.
with the Broadway Kelly O'Hara, I think.
That's right. It's quite interesting. I sent you an article about this, about when it, because I was quite surprised and I didn't know anything about the Broadway revival of it, but I think the way that they've approached it is very sensible, because there's a lot about this musical which is very cringeworthy when you think about the way that people are portrayed. The song, for example, Western People Funny, I always find a little bit of a cringeworthy moment. The way that there are many Asian stereotypes in the musical which to an audience nowadays watching it just feel very uncomfortable, whereas this production is very much a different approach to it, and they address a lot of that. They address the relationship between the West and the East a lot better, and a lot of the stereotypes have been removed or examined in a different way.
But that's just time passing by, isn't it?
Yeah, which is good, but also they couldn't revive this musical without doing that, because it really does need to be done. I don't really know much about the original cast of King and I, but for example, when they did the Flower Drum song originally on Broadway, they struggled to get a completely Asian cast, and some people were offended because obviously there were white people playing Asian characters. So I think it's going to be a completely Asian cast, but some of the stereotypes have been examined, and I'm glad that they've looked at that aspect of it, because it was very problematic.
Because I'm so old, I remember when we had The King and I at the Palladium, what seemed about 3 months ago, but it was many, many years ago, with Elaine Page in it.
Yes.
The Dominion Theatre is very nice, and that's where Bat Out of Hell is going. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Would you see it?
I don't know anything about Meatloaf, or I know nothing. I don't know. I know the song Bat Out of Hell, but I don't know anything about the music or the story, or what I'm supposed to be
when you touch
expecting.
me like this.
No. Oh yeah, I do.
That's one of Jim Steinman's songs.
That's it.
I mean, I didn't know all of them, but I knew a couple. If you say you don't know them, you could go in completely open-minded.
Is this music of Meatloaf?
Yeah.
No, I know him from Rocky Horror Show.
Yeah.
That's about it. I literally know nothing about this. It doesn't interest me really, to be honest.
Right.
But that's purely down to the fact I know nothing about it. But also, if it's going to be We Were Rocky rehashed, I'm not interested in that either. I've seen that.
We will hash you.
Seen it. We will rehash you.
Yes.
If it's just the same kind of thing, I'd rather see something a bit more interesting. And it's not my cup of tea. I prefer the retrotastic musicals, which we're seeing a lot less of this year. So really, that's it.
Yeah. Well, that's all we know.
This is so short and sweet.
Just like you.
Well, that's the West End, but Broadway's got some quite big shows coming up, hasn't it? SpongeBob, which opened in December, had its first, which was a big surprise. I was reading the reviews of this online, and there are lots of people who have gone to see this who have gone, I wanted to hate this, but it's a very good show. It's very well done. I think they reused some music from the show and or the film.
There's original songs as well.
There's original songs,
all written by different people, though.
And from what I can gather, they've done a really good job of taking 2D, cartoon, and translating it to the stage. And often, even though the characters don't look exactly like they do in the cartoon, they've done a really good job at doing physical representation of everyone. And you still know who everybody is, but the way they brought it to life is very clever. I was watching a clip and the Squidward tap dancing with all his legs, which I thought was really, 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 really fun.
And you get to see a Bikini Bottom on stage.
Yeah.
What else could be better?
But I've heard just really good things about this. It's all the children enjoy it, all the adults enjoy it. It's not speaking down to anybody. It's got moments for the parents to enjoy. The only problem with this musical, I think, that people will be put off it because they think it's going to be it's going to be very light, and apparently it's quite light on story, but it's done very cleverly. So
as it should be.
It doesn't really matter.
We forgot in our last episode, we looked at 2017. I just want to briefly mention, we forgot to mention Dreamgirls.
Oh yes, we did. How can we forget Dreamgirls?
I love seeing Dreamgirls because I'd never seen it and I was very impressed with it. I didn't know it was going to be food composed.
It's not something you knew.
No,
at all.
Didn't know it at all. Of course, I knew the big song, but it might be going to Broadway.
There's rumours that it might go to Broadway because it's been such a big success here. Obviously, it started on Broadway, and this is the first time it's been in this country. Is it in London? I think it could be something we see transfer over there.
But Amber Riley helped set it here.
Yeah,
and she'll
she did.
Probably go back
People
to
know her from
Broadway
Glee fame.
to do it. I didn't see it with Amber Riley, but it didn't matter because the girl we had, whose name I can't remember, I'm terribly sorry because there were 5 of them, or 3 or something, she was astonishing. So yes.
It's an interesting show. It's nice to have a show. When it was on Broadway originally, it was one of the first big shows at the time to be centred around an African American story. So it's quite nice to have that in the West End for the first time, and showcase the music of R&B, gospel, all those kind of things. But it's an interesting story as well.
But also done without it being a jukebox musical, which was nice.
Yes, exactly. The songs are really original, but you kind of know what they're supposed to be. They're very cleverly done. There's a lot of very good tunes.
And I think it was America's response to Evita and Jesus Christ Superstar, and because it was a rock opera, effectively.
Yeah, and you hadn't seen the film. I know a lot of people are not that keen on the film, but I really liked the film. It's not sung through, and I thought that was quite successful.
You can't have sung through films. It just does not work.
Looking at you here. They put a lot of dialogue in it for the film, and a lot of people know the film because they have big names like Beyonce. So I guess it's done very well this year. It opened in 2016. I think it's going to continue because it seems to have sold. People tend to enjoy it. It's a show that's done really, 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 really well. We'll see. We'll have to keep our peepers on Broadway, won't we? Because whether it comes out there or not. What else? Broadway. Frozen.
Yes, it's been playing in Seattle, I think.
Like out-of-town previews.
And directed by Richard Eyre, Sir Richard Eyre, I believe, on a G-string. And feedback has been mixed. I think people are going to go in expecting a massive spectacle.
Yeah.
And are going to get that very British thing of there's one tree on the stage. So I'm sure they're going to look at it and make changes, but it's Frozen. It needs to be more spectacular, doesn't it? Yeah, and it's interesting. Frozen, for me, I saw a stage show in California at Disneyland, and it was brilliant. It was an hour-long stage show.
You're often saying this, the theme parks, is it because they can throw everything at it? They've got the money, they've got the funding.
They've got the money, but they've got a 2,500 seat theatre at their disposal that can do anything. And they obviously will get a 100-piece orchestra in to record backing tracks, and they have 12 shows a day so everyone can see it. And it's often I've seen better productions at theme parks than I have on Broadway. Aladdin. So hopefully Frozen will not be the same result, but you can't really go wrong with Frozen, can you? No. It's going to sell. That's the thing. That's why they're doing it. It's going to sell. It was such a massive phenomenon when on curiosity alone.
It's just going to sell because, they're not taking a risk with that. No. Even if it doesn't have a particularly long run, it doesn't matter. I'd like to see more stuff from Disney. What Disney film would you love to see musicalised on stage? That's a really good question. Hunchback of Notre Dame, I'd like to see a proper English language production. I don't know if it's just closed on Broadway, but one of my friends was in it in Berlin, and it's we had the La Jolla Playhouse production, which I do enjoy listening to, but I don't like the fact they say Notre Dame. It's very, very Americanised, and I don't really like many of the changes they've made to it. I think the way they do that production is we are putting on a show for you. So they're actually Americans playing people as opposed to seeing it in the 17th century. I would love that. I love a really dark, gothic take on it, but it was a bit more true to the music, because I didn't like a lot of the changes that I heard on the cast recording that they'd done to the original music, because the film is just, it's gorgeous. It's one of my favourite Disney films. It's got such a gorgeous score, and I really like to see a proper production of that. That would be
I'd like to see Hercules.
Oh, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? Again, it's got some fantastic music in it. That would be really fun. But do you think it's one of the more popular ones that would sell?
No, just want to see it. They're like songs. They're like Dreamgirls.
Yes. What else have we got? So My Fair Lady at the Lincoln Centre. They're doing a run of a revival of My Fair Lady.
The Lincoln Centre did The King and I that we're getting.
Yeah.
And they did South Pacific a few years ago, so they seem to be another house reviving these wonderful classics and giving them the full massive orchestral treatment which they deserve.
There was a bit of hoo-ha because they've got a couple of big names. Lauren Ambrose, she's not someone I know. I think she's in a TV show called 6 Feet Under, which I know nothing about. But they have Diana Rigg of Game of Thrones fame, and Norbert Leo Butz as well.
Who's playing Higgins?
Norbert Leo Butz.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and we've got a Brit playing Freddie, I think.
Lovely.
I think it's a Brit.
I played Freddie.
You did. I think it's a Brit. Yes. It says Harry Haddon Patton.
He has to be British.
Yes. So it'd be interesting to see whether that transfers.
Yes.
Yeah, and whether there's a lot of but that's been My Fair Lady's been hyped for ages. I mean, there were big rumours that Anne Hathaway would go into it quite a long time ago. Maybe she's just.
Well, there's always a rumour that Cameron wants to do the film.
Yes.
And Oliver and.
Well, I think that is being redone. A film.
Yeah.
There is a film version being rumoured anyway. There's also Mean Girls on Broadway. There's quite a lot of hype, social media hype around this film, because I think it aims itself at a certain age group, really.
It's had out-of-town tryouts. Don't know anything about the show, never seen the film. I'm sure it'll be another Legally Blonde success if it's done well.
Yes, you see, I'm quite excited about this film because about this musical, because the film is very good. It's a really enjoyable film.
You see, I love the fact when I went to see Legally Blonde, I had never seen the film. And I don't like judging things on, as we talked about Hamilton, for example, I don't like listening or studying the pre-existing material before going to see something that should work without knowing it.
I just happened to know the film very well. I've always been saying over the years this used to be a musical because it would work really well as a musical. And we got Nell Benjamin of Legally Blonde fame taking on the lyrics. So if it's the same calibre as that, I'll be very happy. And I know that Tina Fey, who wrote the screenplay, is actually writing the book of the musical too. I'm not sure whether that she's written
that's my worry.
A book, but at least she knows the material because she wrote the screenplay in the first instance, so that's good. The music is by her husband, Jeff Richmond, and I'm not sure he's written a musical before, so it'd be quite interesting to see whether this works or not. Other than that, don't really know very much about it. Obviously, we got a cast being announced.
If it's good, it will come here. That's my.
Yeah,
that's how theatre works.
I'm excited about this one. I really, really hope it does live up to the hype that's going on around it, because it's a good film. I've always said it should be a musical. It's just whether it gets the right treatment.
I'd rather have Clueless.
That's another one I would
as
like
a musical.
To see. Yeah, Clueless would work quite well. Moulin Rouge, we had a cast announcement for Moulin Rouge, but other than that, there's a lot of secrecy around this. I don't know anything about this at all.
They've taken their time, haven't they, with Moulin Rouge?
A long time, yes.
I hope it's better than the film. It won't give you motion sickness.
Shush, I love the film. So yeah, we had a cast announcement of that back in October. We've got Aaron Tveit.
Yes.
And Karen Olivo.
Okay.
How do you pronounce her name? Karen Olivo. Anyway, yeah, so we've got Aaron Tveit, who's and Tony Award winner Karen Oliver. I don't know her at all, but they're taking on Christian and Satine.
It's interesting with Moulin Rouge because a lot of it came down so much to the filmic style.
Yes.
You wonder how are they going to do that. I presume projections will be part of the action.
Yeah.
I hope bath bags are provided for the audience, if so.
If they get this right, it will be a spectacular show. I mean, it's got
spectacular.
Yes, but whether it
or they go
well
the complete opposite and they just pare it down to nothing,
which would be a shame. The film is so kind of out there and outlandish. I think people were disappointed. People were expecting it to have some sort of.
But look at Charlie
surreal.
and the Chocolate Factory on Broadway.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen with this. It's quite exciting because it's just so difficult to find out anything about it whatsoever.
It must be so difficult to sort out the rights for these songs.
Because there are so many.
It was hard enough for the film, but imagine doing it on stage and for the stage show and paying everyone the right amount so that's probably why it's taken 12 years or however long it's been.
Probably, I can imagine. Oh yeah, I mean, there are so many songs. I can't remember for the Musical Talk Time Machine that we did on Facebook. I think there was like 50 to 100 songs in it. There are so many songs in it. But again, a jukebox musical. I mean, it's an original story, but it's also based on La Traviata, so it's not really anything new. I think we're all hungry for something a bit more new. And Broadway tends to do that quite well. Last year particularly, there were some very new things. I mean, over the past few years, we've had Hamilton, Dear Evan Hansen. We've had lots of new things, but there doesn't seem to be anything particularly new
yet. Continuing that trend, The Devil Wears Prada might be opening.
No. I think that's a rumour. There's a rumour that there's nothing being particularly announced around that. But again, a lot of film adaptations, a lot of jukebox musicals.
It's not a new thing, no.
No, but it's not this. Yeah, there's nothing new going on, which is a bit of a pity, I think.
I would like to see Les Mis and Phantom close.
Would you?
And I mean that purely because there must be so many newer shows that could fill those theatres.
That's true.
And I don't mean it to be harsh to the shows. I just think it's time for them to step aside gracefully. And
they never do that. They make so much money from tourists.
but to let someone else have a chance. Could you imagine a London without Phantom and Les Mis?
No, I really couldn't. Because not that I'm that interested in really seeing either of them urgently. I've seen Les Mis that many times. But I really couldn't imagine it, and I just don't think if there's anything at the moment that could particularly fill their shoes. Maybe Hamilton could, if it lives up to its hype and continues to run and run and run. Maybe Bat Out of Hell could, because it's going into a great venue. It's a great venue for it. But I just don't see that really having longevity, and I think that's the problem. There aren't any shows that really have the true longevity that Les Mis and Phantom have, and I think we need some of those. Well,
I think we've only we've only opened the curtain slightly on 2018, so it'd be interesting to see what does happen, what opens, what closes, and we'll keep you informed. But this is also a great time of year for theatre fans to get to see shows very easily, because January is a terrible month. The theatre people here in London realise that, so they give us lots of cheap tickets.
Yes, they do. If you want to go to the theatre and you want to go cheap, January's a fantastic time, because it's difficult in London. I think there are so many more reasonably priced tickets available now, so that is a really good thing. So we're seeing more and more and more of that. We're seeing more people pushing against the really expensive tickets. Shows are offering ticket lotteries more and more often, like Hamilton, Book of Mormon, for example. So it's looking more positive for people on a budget, but also there are a lot of cheap tickets in January. What are your tips for going to the theatre on a budget?
In January or outside of January?
In January or any time of year.
Well, in January we have this massive theatre sale, which is done by the official London Theatre Guide. I'm not sure. It used to be called the Get Into London Theatre Scheme, but they changed it this year for some reason, and you can get seats for most musicals barring Book of Mormon and Hamilton for a maximum of £30, I would think.
Sounds good.
Which is really good. Some as low as £10, and that's really good. That's for January, so that's available now. You can go online and book tickets. I wish theatres would embrace app technology more. Looking at you, Ticketmaster and C-Tickets. Todaytix did a very good sale for Cyber Monday, which was end of last year, after the Black Friday nonsense that's made its way over here. But we like it because we get cheap theatre tickets. I got £15 seats for The Exorcist, where all good seats were £15.
Goodness me.
Which was nice. So yeah, that kind of sale, that January sale is really, really good. And I look forward to seeing how app technology and quick purchasing of tickets, because that's what's annoying.
Yeah.
When you want to buy a ticket, you have to remember your username, remember your password, get your card details, sign everything. And we have technology now that can look at my face and approve a purchase. And what I really want to see theatres get in on, please, is let me swap my theatre tickets if I can't do that day.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're so fussy about that. Technology is on our side, and I wish these companies would embrace it more. But if you are in London, go to the theatre and get your tickets because it is much cheaper.
And it's much easier to get an upgrade because I bought my tickets through a different website when I went to 42nd Street, and we were in the upper level quite high, far back. And that night it wasn't sold out, and we asked for if we could pay for an upgrade, and they were like, no, because you bought your tickets through a third party, whereas if you bought them from the theatre, we could have upgraded you. So
and sometimes they won't even charge you for an upgrade.
Yeah.
They will, if they want those seats full, they will
move you. Because often a lot of shows have been running for a long time, they have lots of seats which are empty in the stalls, and they really want to create an atmosphere and move people, so it makes it look a bit more full for the people performing.
But also make it feel full for the audience as well. When I'm in a cinema, I hate it when it's busy. Yeah. But when I'm in a theatre, I hate it when it's empty. Yeah. Because you feel sorry for the performers.
But the thing is, if you see a film, it's going to be the same performance no matter what you see. But I think the performers will feel, if the audience looks a bit more full, they will give it a bit more energy, perhaps. Maybe that's a misconception.
No, it's true. It shouldn't be, but it's true.
So the January sale,
Today
Ticks, and buy your tickets from the theatre, because often, they can, it's just easier. It's often, if you're in town, walking to the theatre, they can see everything that's available. You don't have to do all the hard work on the internet, and you can upgrade if
and don't
there is
be
a seat.
shy.
Yeah.
Ask for a deal.
Yeah.
For that night, if there's a seat, I remember when I saw Spring Awakening, all top seats were £70 or something, and I said, any chance of a deal for two for tonight's performance? And he went, yeah, I'll give them to you for 30 quid.
Yeah.
If they said no, I would have walked out.
But that's the thing, when we went to see Mary Poppins, I got quite a good deal on tickets. Literally, on the day, just fancied going to see it, went straight into the theatre. I think often, if you are seeing a show at such short notice, really do go to the theatre and ask, because you can get quite a good deal.
Lots of good booths in Leicester Square tend to stick to the official TKTS booth, but they don't seem to do many deals. Sometimes their shows are more expensive than they would be at the theatre.
Yeah, that is a problem I've noticed online. Often you can look online first, actually. To be honest, around 11 a.m. To be honest, look first before you bother going all the way into town.
I know a lot of listeners, obviously, they're not there in America or they're elsewhere. They're not in London. They're often some websites will do good deals. Lastminute.com is obviously a very, very good one. The January sale we mentioned, I believe that's through C Tickets, so I'm not sure this year. And there's a Woucher. There's sometimes some quite good deals on Woucher.
You just got to look around a little bit.
Don't go to lesmis.com and buy your tickets there unless it's the only place you can.
Just make sure it's a reputable...
And I want to see what trend Hamilton has on the ticket, on way tickets are managed, because I see there's going to be a seismic shift soon, hopefully embracing technology and apps. Wouldn't it be nice if you were to walk past the London Palladium and a thing were to pop up on your phone saying half-price tickets for The King and I tonight, scan your fingerprint here to get them. I think you get more purchases if that happened
than you would if
just advertising it on a website somewhere.
I think the other thing is signing yourself up to a ticket scheme. We've got ticket schemes. I think the National has one. Does the National have a ticket scheme where you can see things for as cheap as £10?
Yeah.
Is that right? And
Travelex,
I think,
might be £15. I'm not sure.
I think the Royal Opera House has one for students, and has one for under 30s. There are ticket schemes available for these kind of big companies. So if you're really interested in opera or ballet or plays and stuff like that, you can also get to see a lot of those things too. The thing is, I think as well, sometimes depending on what you want to see, so if I want to see Hamilton, I'd probably want quite a good seat in the stalls or the balcony. But if it's something you're quite interested in seeing but not really sure you want to spend that much money on it, sit at a cheap seat. You could save tons by sitting in a cheap
also
seat.
Go on your own.
Yeah,
it's much easier to get a cheap single seat than it is to get two together.
But that's how you got a ticket for Hamilton like a few weeks ago, because you found a night that had a just an individual seat.
One seat left in the grand circle.
Exactly. So I'll get that. And it was about 37 quid, which is quite, for Hamilton, that's like
gold dust.
Yeah, exactly. It is gold dust.
But what's nice is I hear everyone in that theatre has a good view.
I guess the other thing is signing yourself up for the ticket lotteries. I think it's quite difficult to keep on top of them, but the Hamilton's got an app.
But again, this is where app technology can really come into light, as Today Tits does. If you share one of their shows on social media, it's easy for me to say, you can unlock.
Well, I think up until now, I've only really entered a couple of ticket lotteries occasionally, but I have entered the ticket lottery for Hamilton every single day, because on the app it gives you notifications when tickets are available. and whether you won them or not. You know, it's so easy. And
do we know how many tickets
so you
they have?
To 2.
No, but do we know how many tickets they release per day?
I don't know. I don't know how many it is. It tells you exactly when the lottery opens. It's great. I hope more shows do this, because I think the app is it's a genius idea.
So in 2018, I want to see more technology embraced by theatres.
That would be good.
And for goodness sake, ATG, lower your bloody booking fees.
Yes, booking fees. That's a big problem, isn't it?
Yes, and of course, if you go to the theatre, you don't pay booking fees.
Yes, so that's another good reason to save a little bit of cash going to the theatre. Are there any more tips?
Not that I can think of, but just turn up to the theatre and ask.
Yeah.
You know, if they have seats to sell, they will give them to you, whether you pay full price or half price. And sometimes, just pay full price.
Yeah, well, I think sometimes
support the shows.
Yeah, I think sometimes the unfortunate thing is, if it's something like Hamilton you really want to see,
yeah,
you're going to have to pay quite a lot.
Or start a podcast and get free tickets for 10 years.
Yeah, you could.
What's the most you've ever paid for a theatre show?
Oh, no idea. I mean, I've seen a lot of things on tour. I've seen a lot of things. I don't think I've really ever paid more than 50 quid. And I've sat in some really kind of fantastic seats. I mean, I've been very lucky. This is much less common now, but when I was a student, I could see things for free. They had these ticket schemes. I've forgotten what it was called, but I think I emailed you about it once. That's how we got talking about Musical Talk. There used to be a nationwide scheme of going to the theatre cheap, and I saw Little Shop of Horrors for free. I shot at the Rep in Birmingham. I saw 2 operas with Welsh National Opera for free at the Hippodrome. Literally, we're going to the box office, asking them for free tickets, and they give free tickets to students. It's so hard now. You just don't get that. It's really tricky. They're just it's just not there.
And also, if you're in a show and you notice some empty seats halfway through Act 1, you can move to them in the interval.
Yes, you could.
You might be breaking some laws in the terms and conditions, but if you
they never say anything.
Exactly. If you just ask politely.
I think there've been many shows where I'm very small, so usually I have to take a very thick coat to sit on so I can boost myself so I can actually see the stage. Very embarrassingly, because I'm very vertically challenged, being only 5'2". I think I've moved when I've not been able to see. That's another thing. You're quite tall, Nick. What do you do at the theatre? Do you feel like you have to reduce your height so the people behind you can see, or do you book a ticket at the back?
Well, I can't generally reduce my height anyway because of lack of leg room.
It's a problem. That's a huge problem.
I will be aware of my surroundings. If you were sat behind me, I would feel very self-conscious. But that's not my problem. That's something that's a problem with all theatres in London. It's quite difficult to see, isn't it? This is the reason why I often book tickets quite high up in the balcony, because it's often very steep, so I can actually see. Stall tickets I hardly ever buy because I just know I'm not going to be able to see. I will tend to, if I'm in the stalls, I often will sit on the aisle so I can kind of put my legs out and lower myself so the person behind me can see. But generally, you get seats that, if they're like Cameron's new theatres, the Victoria Palace, for example, they will do it that the person behind you is between the two seats in front of them, so that shouldn't really be a problem. It's when people don't take their hats off in the theatre, or they have a hood on or something horrendous like that.
So trends for 2018. Trends, because this is something we talked about last year about the trends. So we had a big thing about retrotastic things. I think we talked about this in the last episode a bit. I said the trends that were ongoing a little bit were kind of a fall in audience etiquette. What would you like to see audiences do better when they go to the theatre in 2018?
Turn your phones off.
Yeah.
Behave.
Is it that difficult to turn your phone off for 2 hours and a half? It's not.
For some people it is.
Switch off. Enjoy the fact that you get to escape from the crappiness of life and all the horrible things going on right now. I'd also
like the audience to turn up on time.
Yes, I've had shows room for me by having to stand up, and then there not being enough seats for them and having to go back 42nd Street.
Five minutes in, I can forgive you. I mean, they won't let you in until a suitable break in the performance anyway. But
they let them in. It was 5 minutes into 42nd Street, and they let them in this time. And maybe because it was the balcony, it wasn't off-putting, but it was off-putting to me, and I was really disappointed. You should turn up on time, and if you turn up not on time, you shouldn't be let in.
But turning up half an hour into the show, that's unforgivable.
Yeah.
And also, I've talked about this before, sort of twisting that on its head. Stop leaving early.
Yes, don't leave early.
The show might have ended, but now they're going to take their bows.
And you should show them your appreciation.
wait 3 minutes. I know, it might be difficult to get out of the theatre and you might suffer with stairs and things, but we're all in this mess together. It's really disrespectful if you walk out of the theatre.
I've never had difficulty getting out of the theatre. It's always so organised. We're British, we're queue and walk orderly. You don't need to leave early. But food's a huge problem. I think
know, there's not enough of it. I want full plates of chicken in my theatre.
Well, actually, I was talking about this to someone on Facebook, not Facebook, Twitter, and they were saying, popcorn, eating really noisy things like popcorn and things in a show, like, eat the interval. It's not hard. I mean, some people find it difficult, but, don't eat a McDonald's in the theatre. Don't eat noisy food. Don't eat smelly food. Don't eat noisy food. Eat the interval. That's what ice creams are for.
Yes. And ice creams are silent.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really tricky thing. The thing that annoys me most is phones. I've been to the theatre a lot of times recently where people haven't turned the phones off. People's screens when they're light up, that really annoy me. They interfere with the sound equipment.
I was tweeting all through a show how annoyed I was about it.
I just don't understand people can't watch things now. Just watch it. Just watch the theatre. Just escape.
If you're the unlucky person to do that in front of me, you're dead.
And talking.
Yes.
I've had a lot of all the way through 42nd Street, a couple in front of me leaning over to talk to each other all the way through. It's so irritating. And talking over the overture. This is something that annoys me time and time and time again. They did it in Gypsy, they did it in 42nd Street. I want to hear the music. I'm here for a show. I want to appreciate the orchestra they're playing for you. It's no different to the actors. It's no different, Nicholas.
I know, but in their argument is it hasn't actually started yet. It's just the opening credits.
Okay, just to clear this up. Even if the lights haven't come down, the show has started. Do not talk.
Yes.
It really irritates me. And someone leaned over to try and talk to me during the overture 42nd Street. I just looked at them as if to say, stop talking right now.
Who was that?
The person next to me, I didn't even know them. Me and my mum were sat there really nice and politely.
Why would your mother talk to you during the overture of 42nd Street?
Anyone who listens to me, I'm always going to have my mum on this podcast. She's my theatre buddy. So usually when she comes to London, we always go see a show together. But we always look at each other and just, between us, we're both 5'2", so we both have a difficult time seeing the stage as it is. And just every single time we go to the theatre, we just have such a terrible time but it's such a shame. The only exception was the girls, and I really hate to talk about misconception and stereotypes on the podcast, but the audience members were of a certain age. People didn't talk as much. There were less people on their phones. It is a generational thing, I think. People that are younger tend to not be able to cope not being on their phones, and it is a huge problem, and I think it really needs to be addressed.
I propose we set up the hashtag shut the fuck up for 2018.
No, because it doesn't. No, we need to come up with something better than that, I think.
Shut the fuck up, please. Yeah, I mean, just
the Audience Etiquette Society.
Yes, audience, if you are listening, you know how to behave in the theatre. Make sure other people do.
Is that a good example?
Exactly. Tonia, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Happy 2018.
Happy 2018.
And we'll have you on many, many times in the future.
I hope so.
For more information about Musical Talk, please visit our website at musicaltalk.co.uk. Email us at feedback@musicaltalk.co.uk. Listen to past episodes on iTunes and on YouTube, and follow us on our social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.